Hello, y'all, and welcome to another episode of the Get Happy podcast with your host, me, Rudrani Devi. Let's do this. And I am so happy to have Simone Milasas as my beautiful, gorgeous, and fabulous guest for this call. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for asking me. It's a pleasure to be here.
I'm so excited that you are here. So would you mind just sharing with our listeners a little bit about you and what you be?
Well, me and what I be, that's an interesting question. So I be happy, but wasn't always I be happy. I've been many, many different things in my life. And yeah, she's got the happiness is just a choice cap there. I have that in every color. So, but wearing the cap doesn't make you happy. You get to make you happy. You get to choose happy. So, well, I've worked with Access Consciousness for about 20 years now. And for me, I had this really deep desire from a really young age to invite people in the world to look at themselves in a different way, to be more vulnerable with each other. Like I remember writing this piece many, many, many years ago on vulnerability, because I looked at people and was like, why do they do this stuff where they choose trauma and drama and they choose to put up all these barriers with each other? And I was asking questions of like, what could I create? What could I be in the world that would allow that to dissipate, like allow those walls to come down? So, and for me, business has been something that I love. It's like, for me, business is very joyful. I wrote a book, Joy of Business, and I started a business called Good Vibes for You, which to me was about how do I change people's lives? How do I change the way they look at themselves and look at the world and look at the earth and be with each other? And then I met Gary Douglas and was like, oh my goodness, this guy's talking about everything that I desired to create in the world. So then I ended up working with Access Consciousness and I've been here for 20 years. But I'm going to say I like to call it a very colorful life. I've done many different things. So I just say it's a colorful life. But you know what? The life I chose to live each year has given me the place that I have no place to judge anyone, because I get the sense, I feel like I've been there, done that with a lot of different things. So I have no place to judge anyone. And what I look at is, what can you be in the world today? So what can I be? What am I being in the world today? Happy, and keep asking the question of how do we create our future by asking questions to create it to be greater, to create it to be bigger, like more.
I love you. I love the way you just put that because, it's been very interesting for me. Okay, so you guys are listening now and in the future. We happen to be during that really weird time in 2020, the Corona time. and
And we're also right in the middle of the US presidential election.
just took the words right out of my mouth. So they're literally counting, the votes, and they're worried about what's going to transpire once we actually know who has won this election. It's been a very, very weird time. And yet it's been one of the most creative times for me personally. I have been, true story. I mean, I didn't even know I had a muscle for teaching online. I was supposed to be teaching in 6 different countries, which didn't happen. And I've learned so much about myself. I didn't even realize how many points of view I actually had during all of this. And so this has been a teachable moment to myself on top of all of it. And even, I've been coined as the happy lady, which is so funny and so cute. And I guess there's worse things to be coined for. And yet I'm like, was I really authentically happy? Even when I wrote the book, I thought I was, until Access. And even now with Corona, I realized there were some pieces of me that I wasn't recognizing, because the truth is when you step into who you be authentically, joyously, that's when, you get to be, well, for me personally, I'll just speak for myself, authentically happy. So Simone, can you tell me, have you always been this authentically happy person, or do you have something you can share with us about that? Because I'm discovering so much about me, even in the coronavirus times. Was there a time when
Yeah.
you kind of, I don't know, do you have a little
Yeah,
story?
well, I mean, it's okay. So one thing I'd like to address with what you just said too, though, is uh, one thing I've learned during COVID as well is that in 2020 is that you are the source of the joy for you and the happy for you. And I see so many people, including myself, have looked at other people or looked at like someone or something to bring you joy and to bring you happy. Whereas you get to be that source of joy. You get to be that source of joy and happy for you. And it's something that it's sort of, I want to say unraveling like more and more each and every day as I keep asking. Like one of the tools I've given myself is to every single 10 seconds is to choose what's joyful and happy for me. And that could be anything. And yet it's so much we try and we go, oh, well, this will make me happy. This will bring happy. But it's usually based on maybe I did it before and I was laughing or I was happy or I was joyful, or this person is coming to my house. So then I will be happy because I like them. And it's like, no, you can just get to choose to be happy. Like we reference, it's insidious how much we reference something else for our happy rather than just actually choose happy. And I know that I was speaking to you before we started this show about one of the things that, like, sort of like I said, when I started this business, Good Vibes for You, the one before Access Consciousness, I would look out at the world and I was like, I mean, I actually was living in London, and I was living in London in a 3-bedroom house with 21 people with one bathroom at one stage. And I know. And I was actually met up for drinks with one of the guys that I lived with. He lives in Brisbane now. And I met up with him the other day and I said to him, I can never remember waiting for the bathroom. Like, I don't ever remember thinking that when's the bathroom going to be free? Like, and, you know, I was a backpacker, I was young, and there was 17 guys in the house and and just a few girls. So they took such great care of us. Like I'd walk in the house and they'd be like, Simone, come sit here. Because they were all like, you know, like, let's snuggle on the couch, or let's, like, you know, just because we were mates. We were all from New Zealand, Australia, South Africa, and we were mates, and had pretty much no money. Hence we were living in this 3-bedroom house with 21 people. Like I shared a room with 4 people, and Mark, this guy that I met up with in Brisbane the other day, he was one of them. And we were like, how did we live like that? But it was fine. We chose happy. But one of the things I did to give myself space, the big red buses in London, I would get on those buses and I'd sit up the top and I'd go from one end of London to the other because I didn't have much money. So I'd buy this bus ticket and I'd just give myself space and I would write stuff down. I used to write very profound poetry, I'm sure, at that stage. And
That's so funny.
yeah, yeah. But what I did was, there was this one day I was looking out the window and we went through, you know, the Jewish area, the Pakistani area, the black area, all the religious areas, the poor, the rich, all of this. And I looked out and I was like, nobody seems to be choosing happy, no matter what color they were, what religion they were, how much money they had, or how much money they didn't have. I looked out the window and I was like, wow, what is this? It's like, none of those seem to be conducive to happy.
What
So
an
that's when I
incredible awareness you had. I just have to stop for a minute. I don't even know how old you are, but what an incredible awareness you had at that time. And it went ding, ding, ding,
yeah,
ding.
yeah, yeah. I was like, I think about 20. Yeah.
Wow.
But that's when I started to write things down, and I was like, what can I mean, I don't know how exactly I asked the question, but the energy now I get is I was asking, what can I be and what can I do that would create a change in the world? And that was my request on this poor as on this, you know, double-decker red bus going across London so I can get a bit of a break, bit of space from my, you know, 20 other flatmates. And I came up with the whole concept of Good Vibes for You and the business of it. And then I was overseas for 3 years. I ended up going home, and the story that we were wanting to talk about was, one of the things that I looked at with this reality was, like, I couldn't see the happy, and I knew that there was something else. Like I would look around at nature and go, there has to be something else. This can't be it. Like, this can't be it. So one of the things where I'm going to say thought I found my happy in, but I also really enjoyed it, was drugs. And I took a lot of drugs. I pretty much took everything except for heroin. Like, you know, at my age, when I was taking drugs, what was in was like acid, cocaine, speed, ecstasy, marijuana, you know, all of that. And when
Yeah,
I remember when I,
I remember in college, that's what everybody was doing. And I was one of those people that was super afraid because I was such a Roman Catholic, or at least I thought I was.
right,
I thought I was going to go to hell. So, you know, I watched everybody else do
right.
that, but yeah, so got it.
Oh no, I was the person that when everyone took one ecstasy tablet, I went, should we take two? I was I was one. Is it really affecting me anymore? Maybe we should just take another half. I was that person, you know. It's 6 a.m. in the morning. Surely we can go out longer. You know, I was extreme. But here's the thing. Drugs was the first thing that showed me a different reality in a way that I went, oh, there is something else, you know. And I was always seeking this something different and seeking something else. Now, me being me, and I told you I wrote this book, Joy Business. It's like I watched some of my friends, you know, they would do something like one guy, I remember he hocked his sunglasses at one stage so that he could take drugs. And I looked at him and I went, Matt, that's not the way it's supposed to work. You're not supposed to start hocking stuff to take drugs. Like this should be a choice that we choose because we can. And I looked at it and went, I like taking drugs. How can I do this? So, and I worked in, one of the jobs I had at that stage was working in this bar, and there was these two English guys there and I was talking to them. So I got investment. They invested in me so that I could buy drugs, so that then I could sell it, and they got their money back, plus they got some free drugs. And then I also got to take drugs and make money, but it wasn't costing me any money. So I look at it now and I was like, I was just being the joy of business, you know, trying to work out.
Dealer. You're like an entrepreneur.
Exactly.
I love it so much.
How am I going to do this? Yeah, yeah. So
You were smart about it.
Exactly. I desired to create some money so that I could actually create this business that I'd come up with, which was good vibes for you on this big red bus, you know. And to me, that was one of the quickest ways. And I also really liked taking drugs, and I liked all of that. So, but here's the thing. I thought I was happy, and I actually had just started, I met Gary Douglas and Dane here, and I just started Access. And my first Choice of Possibilities class, which I now facilitate, that I ever went to, I organized, because I was like, we need this in Australia. And I organized the whole event. And I picked up Gary and Dane, and I had this old Toyota. I had this old Toyota truck, like this van, and all the seats were ripped out of it because I used to do expos, music festivals with the business I had. And so all the stuff would be in the music festivals, you know, on the back of the van. So when I picked up Gary and Dane from the airport, this is how I used to pick them up, is there was only two seats, the driver's seat and the passenger seat. So I would put a milk crate in the middle with a cushion on it. And either Gary or Dane would sit in the passenger seat and the other one would sit in the middle, and then they'd have their arm around them so they wouldn't fly back into the back of the van, and I'd be driving my Toyota. That's how I would pick them up. Like, that's how we started. I know so many people look at us and go, oh, they've always had money, they've always had this. It's like, no. We used to stay in the dodgiest of hotels so that we could actually go and present this class. And that's how I was driving them around. But there was this one time, well, this is the first COP that I ever went to. I said to Gary, he was during the COP, he was talking, and he said to me, he said to the class, I felt like he was just talking to me.
Of course.
And he started talking about taking drugs and choosing consciousness. And I was sitting there and I just started crying, and I was sitting on the floor on the wall, and we had a break, and he came over to me and he said, hey, how you doing? Are you okay? And I was like, well, I said, you sort of got me on the drug thing. And he said, taking drugs and choosing consciousness is like sitting on the edge of the top of the fence. He said, one day you're going to end up impaled. And I was like, yeah, I get it. And I walked outside and I stood there, and I still was, you know, had a few tears. And then I went, you know what, beautiful sunny day in Queensland. I could either get in my car and go to the beach, or I could go back in and find out what the hell this guy's talking about. And so I went back in and was in the class. And at the end of the class, I said to him, hey, I want to tell you something. I said, I've got a music festival next weekend. I've got 25 ecstasy tablets in my bag. And he goes, okay. And he had no point of view. And I think I was looking for him to have a point of view so I could go, bye. I'm out of here. As a justification to leave. See, you're being so righteous. Like, I'm, you know, I was looking for that, and he just went, okay. And I said to him, I don't want to take them. And he went, okay. He said, what do you want to do? And I said, well, I said, I think I'll sell them. And he looked at me and he said, I've got a better idea. And I said, what's that? And he said, flush them down the toilet. And I went, hey, you know what? Baby steps. And I was like, do you know how much money that is? I was like, first thing, not taking them. So what I did at this music festival was I actually sold them at cost price because I wasn't looking at making money, but I also couldn't flush them down the toilet. I'm like, come on, you know.
You're
And this whole
adorable.
music festival, which is a huge festival in Australia, in Byron Bay, and it was the first time I'd done anything like that where I wasn't taking drugs. And Dane here, I was so grateful for him. I rang him at least twice a day and was like, can you help me? Because it was like I was surrounded by people on drugs. The easy choice would
Ignore
have
that
been just to
man.
pop a pill. Yeah. And he just, I don't even remember exactly what he spoke to me about, but he would calm me down and relax me. And I found more of me. And can I say, Rudrani, that class, that first choice of possibilities class I went to, I never took drugs again
Wow.
from that class. And I was
What
taking a lot
that?
of drugs.
Can you?
I was dealing, I was doing everything, and I stopped taking drugs because when I went to the Access Consciousness class, and it sounds so cliche, but I went, this is what I've been looking for. And I was trying to find it by not functioning from this reality. But with the tools from Access, it does take you out of this reality and empowers you to have your reality.
It
And
does.
it's much easier on the body than taking drugs.
Yeah,
Can I
we
tell
think
you?
the drugs are going to take us out of this reality and solve our problems, and that's not the case. It's like
Well,
in college, I dated a guy that when I met him, he was tripping on acid, and
mm,
I was afraid of doing anything because the fear of God had been impaled upon me, and yet I was attracted to this guy that was doing all of that, and he actually, his sister got a hold of me, I don't know, 5 years ago, and said that he had, well, longer. He died at 50. Well, I don't want to say how old I am. Oh, okay. I just had my 57th birthday. So
if you whisper, no one will know.
he died at 50 because of all the drugs he'd been taking. And I met him
Yeah.
taking those drugs. And yet I could never partake with him because I was so scared. I would see him so fucked up. We can use that on my podcast. And it just frightened me. And maybe my father frightened me, and maybe the whole, I don't know, maybe I was.
Well, hang on. What if it wasn't about the frightening or the God fearing? What if you just knew? What if you knew that drugs were not for you?
Actually, I have an addictive personality because I'm addicted to working out. I'm addicted to, I don't know, my body is a boss of me, but for some reason, the drugs part, you know what? You're right. That's so light.
You just knew.
I did. I was trying to justify right now. And I went, wait a minute, bitch, shut up. She's got something to say to you.
You just knew.
I did just know. I did just know. I mean, I tried to, twice he got me to smoke pot with him. And I was like, I'm not going to like it. And I didn't both times. And in the sense of, I was like,
You.
I hated it.
Yeah.
Totally hated
Yeah.
it. This is not fun for me, kind of thing. Just paranoid and whatever, or pizza.
Yeah.
I don't even remember, but I did not like it.
Paranoid pizza and sleep. You're like, I think there's something else available for me.
And at the time I was a bodybuilder. So, I had points of view about eating a certain way and being an A student because I was on a scholarship in college. So there was so much going on up here. I was a head tripper, most definitely.
Yeah.
And I really thought I was a happy being. I really did. I actually met these granola guys during college. They were eating, sprouts and things and contemplating their navels and all this stuff. And so I actually stopped. I drank a little bit because my family was Italian. We always had wine on the table, and that was just
Yeah.
normal. And
You
then I go to
did. Yeah.
college and I meet these people that are like, vegetarian and vegan and blah, blah, blah. And I did that for a minute. It's so funny because Gary Douglas, the founder of Access Consciousness that we've been lovingly talking about, and he said, so how healthy were you when you were vegan? I went, yeah, not so much. But
Yeah.
I thought, my point of view was, oh my gosh, they're so evolved and they're doing this thing and they're talking to trees. And the thing is I was talking to trees, but I
I was
equated
going to
that
say,
with,
you can talk to a tree no matter what. Yeah.
right. That was the point. And you so lovingly pointed that out recently in a call we were in where where Gary asked us what kind of tree we were, and it blew my mind because I kept asking. I was like, okay, am I maple? Yes. Am I dogwood? Yes. Am I an oak? Yes. And I went, wait a minute. Am I all of them? And you so lovingly, and so did Gary, pointed out that maybe I'm the forest. And it was
Yeah.
such a moment for me. Wow, it's actually affecting me a little bit now because I love Mother Earth so much. I'm so her bitch, I swear.
Mhm.
And I know this is what I know about the Earth. I mean, she will outlive us unless we destroy her first. And if we do that, we don't have a chance. And the thing is, I don't even care about that. I want her to survive and thrive. And that makes me happy. I mean, connecting with the earth and my birds and the planet and the grass and everything is so joyful for me. And that's
Mhm.
my thing every morning where I go outside and I put my feet in the grass and I feel the heartbeat of the planet and all of that. And I feel a little vulnerable at the moment because this is something that just speaks to my heart so much, you know, and you were so beautiful.
Me too.
I can't tell you how much I appreciated you acknowledging that piece for me. And even to be on this call means the world to me. And this conversation, oh my goddess, I had no idea about all of your past. And to see where you are today, so inspiring. And I know what it's going to create for those that are listening now or in the future, right? So if there was one thing you would want to say to our listeners about happiness or how to achieve it, or with everything you've been through, is there something that pops for you?
Yeah, I would say don't judge what you've been and done, because we spend so much of our days judging what we've been and done, and referencing that past rather than, I don't have a judgment of what I've been and done. Like I said, colorful life, and everything that I've been and done has created me to be who I am today, and I have no place to judge anyone else. Like at one stage we sent some of the Joy of Business books to Wendy Mulder, a facilitator in Australia, was going to this prison in Brisbane
Mm.
and running bars, etc. And I was like, some of these guys in prison are brilliant at business. They were just doing business with maybe the wrong thing and got caught. It's like, I could have ended up in prison for what I was doing, but I didn't get caught. I was aware enough to also stop. Like you said, your friend who passed away at 50, I haven't ran into any of those people that I used to hang out with in Sydney, except I know that some of them continued to take drugs, and they were allowing the drugs to control them.
Right.
Whereas I was looking at drugs as a way to escape this reality. And like I said, when I came to this Choice of Possibilities class in Access Consciousness, I sat there and went, wow, this is what I was looking for in drugs. I was looking for more of me. And in this reality, I couldn't find more of me. Whereas with Access Consciousness tools, I found way more of me. But I do not regret for 1 second anything that I've done in my life. So please, whatever you've done in your life, don't judge it. It's like, what are you going to choose today? Like, what are you going to choose today? And what are you going to choose tomorrow? And what if you allow yourself to be whatever that is that you would like to choose?
I love that. It's that judgment piece. We have a tendency to judge ourselves for our past decisions we've made. And what if the decisions we made actually got us to the awareness that we be in these 10 seconds
Yeah.
beyond, right?
Yeah.
And I just want to say one moment about the Joy of Business book in class. Simone Milasas, brilliant being that you be. I took the class from Heather Nichols, who's
Mm-hmm.
also
Yeah.
a
She's
CF.
awesome.
And
Yes.
it changed my world. Even in COVID here, I've like taught foundation. Well, we'll get into all that. But I've been teaching classes like crazy, and I was supposed to be in all these different countries, and this was the year I was going to travel and blah, blah, blah. And it's been so freaking amazing. And the book is amazing. And I
Yeah.
literally I opened the book and I was like, oh my goddess. So Simone, I have a confession to make. I literally only bought your book because I took the class like 2 years before, but I only bought your book when I did a Right Voice for You class in Australia in December of 2019. And I read the book on the plane. And then the next day I did all the clearing statements. And I have been playing them on my phone recently because of all of this stuff I'm recently creating
Yeah.
every night. I played them a lot then, but now it's like every night for the last 3 weeks
Nice.
I've been
Cool.
playing, and I'm watching my business exponentially just explode in a way. I was like, what will this create in 5 years if I choose it? So I'm playing it over and over and over again. You guys, I'm going to put the links in this conversation. Do yourself a favor, get this book. Is it on audio, by the way?
Yeah. In my voice,
Oh,
in
awesome.
my Aussie accent. Yes.
You know what? It's funny because I'm literally right now taking a class with Brendan and Simone. Relationship Done Different, and I'm reading the book, and I'm actually hearing Simone's voice in my head as I'm reading it, and I'm creating again with specialty classes. I have a tendency to make the recording, and so that's what I'm doing as well. But anyway, needless to say, it's all going to be there for you guys if you want to choose it. I would highly recommend it. It's been fabulous for me, and she's
Thank you.
amazing, and thank you so much. And so, okay, so awesome. Where could our listeners find you if they're looking for you?
Well, I am the only Simone Milasas in the world, which really helps when you Google. Okay. So
That's true.
Simone Milasas. Yeah, I am. M-I-L, and well, I haven't found another one yet. Milasas. It's a Lithuanian name. My father was from Lithuania. And so Simone Milasas, you Google that. So Instagram at Simone Milasas. I'm on accessconsciousness.com and also SimoneMilasas.com. And there's many places, but if you just type in the name, then I'm sure whatever you desire will show up.
And it's all going to be below. I'm going to create all the links, which is fabulous. That's so funny because I joke because of what happened to me in India that when you
Mm-hmm.
Google my name, you get 250,000 hits, and I can't hide from anyone. It's a weird
Right. No,
thing.
you can't.
And yet, Rudrani Devi is a very popular name in India,
Right.
but I'm actually full-blooded Italian, and I just
Right.
took that name so that I can hide in hotels and stuff when I go to the world. We couldn't find you, Rudrani. Oh yeah, because I'm actually somebody else. But it's all good, and maybe I won't have to hide much longer. You know.
Yeah. I was going to say, what are you hiding for?
Okay, so my name is Andreina, and that's all I'm gonna say. That's the legal name.
Okay.
And
Okay.
Rudrani was a. So this has been such a fabulous conversation. I'm so grateful for you to play with us on this podcast. And
Thank you. Thank you for having me here. I
absolutely,
adore you, sweet lady.
I adore you too. You have no idea how much you have created in my world. And you guys, what she's created in so many people's lives. You're gonna have to check her stuff out. I'm just telling you right now, or don't choose it, whatever. But
Whatever works for you. If it makes you feel lighter, do it. And it's like, you got to choose for you.
absolutely no judgment
And
here.
don't trust me. And don't trust Rudrani either. And
No,
it's like, don't trust us, trust you. Trust what you know.
absolutely. Your knowing is the
Mm.
most important place to be. If it's light, it's
Mm-hmm.
right. Heavy, maybe this is not the time for you. And don't judge you either way, right? So thank you guys for joining us. If you like what you've heard today, could you press the like button below? And if there's others that you can perceive could really use getting their happy on, and maybe this could be a conversation that would create and generate for them, could you share with them? That would be so awesome. And until the next time, right? Ciao for now.